The moment Prince Harry stepped into the studio of Piers Morgan Uncensored, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Two men from opposite ends of Britain's cultural battlefield were about to collide. Prince Harry, the renegade royal who had broken centuries-old traditions to carve a new life, and Piers Morgan, the unapologetic voice of British conservatism, with a particular disdain for Harry and his wife. The audience didn't expect a friendly reunion. This wasn't about diplomacy, it was a showdown. From the very first handshake, you could feel the underlying tension. Harry kept his composure, flashing a polite smile. Piers leaned in with his signature smugness. The cameras rolled, millions tuned in live. They weren't watching for reconciliation, they were waiting for the clash. And they didn't have to wait long. What began as a stiff interview unraveled into a ferocious verbal war, culminating in Prince Harry being asked to leave, a moment that would break the internet and dominate headlines across the globe. Piers opened the conversation with what appeared to be respect. "Good to have you, Prince Harry," he said, tone tight. Harry responded simply, "Just Harry's fine." Piers smiled knowingly. Right, just Harry. The man who walked away from royalty, but never from the spotlight. It was a jab disguised as politeness, and Harry didn't take the bait, at least not yet. It covered safe ground at first. Harry spoke about his work with veterans, his initiatives on mental health, and life with Meghan and the kids in California. But Piers soon pivoted. "You talk about peace and healing, but many say your public attacks on the royal family have caused deep divisions. Do you feel any responsibility for that?" Harry's smile faded. "What I've done is speak the truth. Silence didn't protect us. It only enabled the system." Piers raised an eyebrow. "Or maybe you just didn't get your way and ran to Netflix and Oprah to cash in." The gloves were off. The fight had begun. Harry leaned forward, his tone colder. "You can call it cashing in if that makes you feel clever. But we've used our platforms to shine light on issues that matter: mental health, racism, toxic institutions." Tears cut in. "Right, but when that light is used to burn down your own family, is it really noble?" Harry didn't flinch. "This isn't about family drama. This is about accountability. I lost my mother to this machine. I won't lose my wife too." The mention of Diana changed the energy in the room. Piers stiffened. "You're not the only person who's lost someone, Harry. Stop using grief as a shield. People are tired of your victim routine." That line drew audible gasps from behind the camera crew. Harry's eyes narrowed. "Don't you dare minimize what we've endured. It's not a routine. It's survival." But Piers pressed on. "What you call survival, others call PR strategy." The line between journalist and antagonist had now completely dissolved. By now, Harry's patience was clearly unraveling. "You've made a career mocking people who challenge the status quo," he said. "I know your game, you create outrage for ratings." Piers fired back, "And you create sympathy for brand deals. Let's not pretend you're not profiting from your story." Harry's voice rose, no longer interested in diplomatic tones. "I walked away from a royal life, titles, taxpayer funds. You think I did that for a book deal?" "I did it to protect my family from a toxic cycle," Piers smirked. "Or maybe because you couldn't handle not being the center of attention. That was it." Harry stood up. "This isn't an interview. It's an ambush. You didn't invite me here to talk. You invited me to tear me apart." Piers remained seated, looking pleased. "If you can't handle tough questions, maybe you should stick to podcasts." Harry looked down at him. "And maybe you should stick to shouting at weather girls." It was a low blow, and the audience watching at home erupted. Things only. Escalated from there. Piers began listing criticisms of Meghan, referencing headlines and tabloid quotes. Harry interrupted. "Don't talk about my wife if you've never had the courage to sit in front of her." Piers shot back. "She doesn't need me. She's got every platform on earth to share her truth." Harry stepped toward the host desk. "No, she has. Platforms because she had to build them when institutions like yours tore her down." The producer signaled for a break, but the confrontation couldn't be contained. Piers raised his voice. "You act like the world owes you something because you married someone the media didn't bow to. Get over it." Harry slammed his hand on the desk. "You represent everything broken in the media. You don't seek truth, you seek spectacle. And I'm done playing your game. At that moment, a producer's voice crackled through the earpiece. We're cutting. We're done. But the worst was yet to come. Asterisk as the feed went to commercial, Harry walked off camera, but not off set. Backstage footage would later leak, showing the argument continuing behind the scenes. Piers followed him, still shouting, "Walk away, Prince. Just like you always do." Harry turned. "At least I walk with purpose, not just a paycheck." Security finally intervened, separating the two. Harry, escorted by his team, left the building without another word. But it wasn't over. Clip of his walk-off aired hours later and censored raw and undeniably viral. Social media erupted. Hashtags like hashtag Harry storms out, hashtag Piers vs Harry, and hashtag Royal Meltdown began trending worldwide. Some hailed Harry's refusal to play along as heroic. Others mocked his inability to withstand criticism. News channels looped the clip, analysts weighed in, and late-night comedians turned the incident into punchlines. But beneath the noise, one thing was clear. Prince Harry had drawn a line and walked straight over it. Asterisk. Piers addressed the incident that same night on his show. "The prince who abandoned duty couldn't handle 20 minutes of real questions," he said. Harry didn't walk off. He ran from accountability. His monologue was pure performance, laced with sarcasm and bitterness. Meanwhile, Harry released a brief statement through Archewell. Prince Harry participated in the interview in good faith. Fortunately, the tone and conduct did not reflect journalistic integrity or respect. The internet, of course, tore itself apart. Fans rallied behind Harry, posticized clips of his composed demeanor against Piers's inflammatory interruptions. Critics, on the other hand, accused Harry of being fragile, of expecting praise and fleeing from pressure. Opinion pieces were written. Editorials argued over whether Harry had matured or imploded, but what no one could deny was that the confrontation had struck a cultural nerve end. Both men had become symbols of a bigger war. Asterisk that war between tradition and transparency, between old media and modern identity, was now front and center. The public wasn't just watching a royal and a talk show host argue, they were watching a generational clash. Piers, with his firebrand tactics and refusal to evolve, represented a kind of journalism that many felt was outdated and harmful. Harry, on the other hand, symbolized a new age of emotional openness, of choosing authenticity over legacy, if it came at a cost. The clash wasn't just personal, it was philosophical. And millions picked sides not just based on the argument, but based on which vision of truth they believed in. Memes flooded Instagram. TikTokers reenacted the confrontation with satire and sympathy. Even international headlines from BBC to CNN to Al Jazeera run, with variations of Prince Harry walks out on live TV. After clash with Piers Morgan, asterisk weeks passed, but the incident remained a flashpoint in cultural debates. Universities used the clip to teach media ethics. Talk shows dissected every sentence. And yet, neither man issued further comments. Harry turned his focus to the Invictus Games, appearing in a heartfelt documentary without a single mention of the feud. Piers, meanwhile, doubled down on his usual rants, referencing the walkout every few episodes like a badge of honor. Even his regular viewers sensed the desperation beneath the bravado. Behind the bluster, Piers had wanted one thing: a dramatic moment that would define his brand. And he got it just not the way he expected. For Harry, the moment became part of a larger narrative, not about victimhood, but about boundaries. He hadn't fled a hard question. He had refused to participate in a game designed to make him break. Asterisk in the end. Prince Harry's walk-off wasn't just a viral moment. It was a declaration, a refusal to be reduced to a tabloid caricature, a warning that respect is not optional, even for those born into scrutiny. And while critics continued to throw stones, Harry didn't throw them back. He walked away again. But this time, the world watched him do it with fire in his voice, not just pain in his eyes. He had nothing to prove to the man who mocked his grief, his wife, or his struggle. And by leaving that stage, he did more than silence the shouting. He reclaimed the story, on his terms. In a world obsessed with spectacle, Prince Harry reminded everyone that sometimes the loudest statement is made not with words, but with the power to walk away.